Hello golfers, Brian Pate here. I want to talk about our acceleration and speed tile. I'm going to click on that to make it larger and go ahead and put a stroke on it. And I have roughly 10-foot stroke here. And I'm trying to move it, the blade, to the back tee, to the front tee, just to give me a size parameter. So as I pull it up here and take a look, on the very top, first thing it's going to give me is the shape quality. So relative to what's going on in the stroke, how close are we to more of the ideals? Now as we look at the graph itself, there's a green line and that thing's going down below the zero mark, or it's going minus. So the putter head is traveling away from the target. The faster it travels away, the sharper the curve is going to go downwards. As we arrive to our back, our inversion, that's going to be where the putter's not moving at all. Now as we look at the graph, it actually starts going upwards before that point happens, and now it's into the positive zone. Because the putter's moving away with some motion, we have to start applying some speed towards the target somewhere around this zone to get the putter to slow down, stop, and then start going the other direction. That's why it's going up sooner than it actually stops in the backstroke. Then as we look at the way through, now there's going to be another curve as it's starting to slope downwards. Are we accelerating through the putt, or are we picking up our speed in the top of our backstroke and letting the putter coast through the ball? So let's hit a couple different shots here and have some examples. So I'm going to set up to this golf ball. And this is something we kind of see often. Players are taught to have a short backstroke and accelerate through the ball. And if we look at the squiggly line compared to the green line, it's pretty close on the rates that the putter's traveling back. But then in the inversion, there's a lot of speed going forwards. And if we look on the right side, or if we look at the top impact, it says plus 5.2 feet per second squared. So the putter is actually accelerating 5.2 feet per second squared at that moment of strike. Let's hit another ball here. Take a look at a different stroke. We're going to make too big a backstroke, and then something that's going to feel like it's slowing down or decelerating through the strike. Put one more in play. It's got to make sure the captive screen turns green. There we go. So long to slow down. Now as we take a look at this, the squiggly line is quite a bit below the ideal green line, so it means there's a lot more speed in the takeaway than the ideal says. At our inversion, that's where the putter is paused. As this thing started to slow, it was actually slowing down through the strike, so now the squiggly line is going minus pretty good. And then that impact, it's minus 4.5 feet per second, so that's really slowing down as it's crashing into the golf ball. So the rates that the putter's traveling, the first one is traveling too quick through the golf ball. We're not going to know if this was our acceleration speed, if we hit it at 5 miles an hour, 10, 15, for just to have a number. On the last stroke, it's more going this way. So we're at 15, we're going to 10 to 5 on this little slope. Now it's going to be tough to figure out where we're catching this golf ball. So let me grab one or two balls back. Put some other little strokes on here. Let's put more of an ideal stroke. So there's a good little stroke, and we look at the shape quality, it's 98%. So the squiggly line was following the graph pretty well. So the acceleration rate in the backstroke and the downstroke were pretty smooth in our given size that we're trying to make for this hole. Let's have one where we have too quick of takeaway. As we take a look at this graph, the squiggly line goes down, negative, very fast, below the ideal smooth green curve. So there's a lot of speed away. And because there's so much speed away, I had to apply some speed the other direction. So the graph went sharp upwards to slow that speed down, because it would want to travel back somewhere to this zone. Once I slowed it down to the inversion, now there's a lot of coasting, and the putter is actually decelling through the downstroke on that one. Here's one more quick example. Make sure I took a screenshot of that just so we got it. But I'm going to go slow in the backstroke and then apply a little bit more speed in the transition. So as we take a look at this graph, there's a smooth rate, or the squiggly line is going flat for a long time. So the speed's pretty constant going back, and it's going back slow. So as I hit the 0 mark, it's slowed down. And as I speed it up, you can see the spike goes a little bit higher than the ideal line, because I had to add more speed to get the putter flowing in the through stroke. So there's an example of if the putter is going back too slow for too long a period, what the graph would look like, where it'd be the squiggly line would be flat for a long time before it spiked up, because we started adding more energy towards the target. And because the putter is traveling so slow, we had to add more speed to create some momentum in the putter head. So there's a quick little look at the direction added acceleration. Now if we click on the little white drop down box, there's a stroke height. This is going to give us kind of the overall speed of what's going on in the stroke. There's also the acceleration. In the acceleration, is there a lot of quick start and stops, or is it smooth throughout the stroke? And the last one I forgot to mention is in the stroke direction acceleration. It's kind of what the handle's doing in space. We can click on the gravity button, and that's, if you're more into the math, that's adding the gravity. So if this putter was falling, now it's adding that contribution into the stroke of what's going on there. So again, there's an ideal time where you can click on. This is set up in your system based on what ratios you like to see. There's a preferred ideal. So if you're 60 beats a minute, if you're 70, 80, you can change that number, and that's going to change the purple graph to what you want it to be. And then there's the stroke button, which I had selected, and that's going to give you the backstroke, how far this putter traveled in the backstroke, how far it traveled in the through stroke, and what that total was for the travel going on there. So if we have these tees set up about a grip length away, the putter should travel, say, 8 inches back, 8 inches through. If we're too short, too long, it might say the putter only went back 4 and went forward 10 to 12. If we did the opposite, maybe we go back 12, but we only return it to 6, that's going to give us the size of what the putter traveled through. So there's a little bit of look at that tile and some information that it provides with some examples.